and I just absolutely love it. I've learned so much, and I've been able to add inspiration and aspiration from my family history and where I see that we're going.
Yes.
And Midland, the Permian Basin, Odessa. One of the things that I didn't quite expect is that some of the people didn't know that the very first LEO lab radar system for tracking space junk was put up here. And due to the vision of the Midland Economic Development, let's see, what is it called? Corporation.
The Midland Development Corporation,
Yeah.
yes, sir.
Pam Welsh was leading it at the time. And the goal was to improve the education in Midland by adding another industry to it.
Mm-hmm.
In addition to oil and gas, that would not be on the same cycle as oil and gas.
Yeah.
They got the license. They got a LEO lab. They put the building up that AST Space Mobile is now in, which is building satellites for direct communication between your cell phone and the whole rest of the world.
Yeah.
Out west where the sun always beams bright, Midland skies keep the hustle in sight. BAM Consultants got the blueprint intact. For dreamers on the grind, they got your back. Championing dreams from the ground to supreme, providing that spark, igniting the team. Marketing flow strategies that glean. BAM in Midland, building your dream. They teach the
Bam.
There we go.
Eric McManus.
Howdy, how y'all doing?
Man, doing wonderful,
Oh,
man.
That's great to hear. We are too.
Permian Proving Grounds.
That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing now.
So tell me about that.
Well, can I tell you the beginning?
Yeah.
I love that. So last summer, my partner and I, Justin Bullock, we came up with a product. It was a drone. It could fly 16,000 feet, 1,000 miles on $12 of fuel. Very impressive. It was
Wow. Yeah.
would change a lot of things for the unmanned systems market. And we were targeting that drone to be an oil and gas drone. Because it can fly 1,000 miles and $12 of fuel. This is a great data collection source for pipeline inspections or whatever. We want to make things safer. We picked that drone, and then we got licensed for going beyond visual line of sight with the drone. It's like, okay, finally we can fly our 1,000-mile test. There is nowhere in America for us to do that. It was going to cost us well over $100,000 a week. It would have completely blown out our budget and made no sense as a business.
Yeah.
So it was actually cheaper for us or more cost effective for us to say, well, if we have this problem, everybody has this problem, where there is no testing or evaluation capacity for real world environmental testing against a known problem, where you take technology and you convert it to a solution. Technology is one thing, solutions are another. And you have to do that through test and evaluation against the known problem in the relevant environment. So we started building Permian Proving Grounds because we wanted to offer that to everybody who has that problem. It shouldn't cost over $100,000 a week to test. You shouldn't have to wait for months. That's ridiculous. National security is a problem today, and it's a problem that changes every day and every moment. And if we can't have technology that scales into those problems, then we're going to have those problems.
Right.
Taxes don't fix that. So Justin and I started surveying land out here in the Permian Basin to build Permian Proving Grounds with the sole intention of integrating emerging technologies with America's critical infrastructure. The Permian Basin is obviously a critical infrastructure to America. It produces 50% of America's energy, our oil, which is massive. So what we'd like to do is we'd like to see what Permian Proving Grounds can do to integrate technologies to make the Permian Basin safer, more efficient, maybe, or economically diverse environment where workforce. If we have drone operators instead of for inspection, instead of somebody climbing on a scaffold to go up the thing, that's a very different workforce.
Yeah,
that's a very diverse workforce. And if you can get those drones to remotely operate for those inspections, then you can start doing it from offices in Midland.
Right.
And then your work safety risks go down dramatically. But that's just one vein that we're looking at here. The real big, I guess, why we started this was to integrate the technologies with America's critical infrastructure. And then what we discovered was that public safety. Public safety is in a massive need for emerging technologies like unmanned systems, autonomous systems, embedded systems, systems that allow them to provide them with situational. In the military, we call situational awareness.
Yeah.
Imagine you're driving down the road a car that has no windows. Like literally, it's a metal instead of a glass, right? You don't know what's going on outside. How fast can you drive that car?
Right.
Not very fast. But when you start giving people the ability to see outside and further than what they can see immediately, they gain situational awareness, and then you can start making intelligent decisions about that situation with the assets they have. So we'd like to build a world, so to speak, where we want to see sheriff's departments not chasing cars necessarily. We'd like to see sheriff's departments maybe following a criminal who's just stolen an asset with a drone, and where that person they're in their getaway car, right? And they're going to run. They're only going to run if the cops chase them. The drone's just going to follow them to wherever they go with their asset. And then guess what? The sheriff's department can show up then, and they'll get a lot more arrests, and it's a lot safer for everyone because they have that situational awareness.
Right.
And it's just an example. It's not something that I can say for sure would help anybody, but it's an example of how emerging technologies, when integrated properly with infrastructure, can make a difference.
For sure. That's the 30,000 foot view, right? And when you drill down, that's what you're doing here today with this conference.
Yes.
Right.
This conference was for Permian Proving Grounds Tech Night was for that. We want to show Permian Proving Grounds technologies they've never seen before that are options for them to start integrating with today down in Upton County on our 36 sections.
30. So tell us about Upton County.
We spent, Justin and I spent since July last year surveying land. We've walked over 100,000 acres in the Permian Basin. We talked to a lot of landmen, and we finally made a deal. We learned a lot. Basically, we spent a lot of time learning. I called it eating the glass. It's an Elon Musk term, but it's you see a future. In order to get to that future, you have to get through some glass, and you better be prepared to eat that glass to get through it. And that's what we did, man. We just went into the desert, knocked doors, and talked with folks. We learned a lot, and we met a partner that wanted to see us there because they saw the future of what happens when we bring advanced manufacturing, additive manufacturing. What happens when we bring drones? What happens when we start connecting space launch capabilities from around the country to the Permian Basin? Things just accelerate so quickly from that moment. And so we really opened the gate in June with a customer and testing and revenue generating. As a startup, that's a wild thing to say in 2026.
For sure.
To go from a lease to a revenue generating from an idea in July to today is massive. I'm very proud of our company and our team. We're in an investment round, and we went through all of our due diligence for our accountants and our investment firm, and they came back with a $32 million valuation. And I'm just really proud of that. It goes
congrats.
to show.
That's awesome.
Thank you. How hard we've worked, what we've put together, and the story that we have that enables everybody. Not everybody. It enables these emerging technologies to actually have a place to go and show that they are a solution. They're faster, more efficient, or cheaper in some capacity. For the last 30 years, we've been buying Chinese stuff.
Yeah.
And what happens when we start making stuff that's relevant to the problems today here, and the people making it are just down the road.
Right.
And you can trust in that solution. It can be manufactured here, and it's built to solve your problem. It's not some Chinese thing that you got to make work for you.
Right.
And so that's another part of this is culturally, these problems should be solved by people in the Permian. Because the people in the Permian understand these problems, and they live in these problems. Their culture is developed around these problems. They solve these problems in the best way possible because they solve them using their culture. Allan is specifically a wonderful example of from what he's taught me to look at and to study and to understand was essentially like, how many students are there in the public schools? And a lot of people don't know this. There's 27,000 students in Midland ISD. There's 43,000 in Ector County. That's 70,000 kids. I was a kid that didn't do well in football or baseball. I did a lot better with robotics and electronics. Where do those kids go here?
Right.
We want them to come to us. We want to build the STEM programs and the workforce development programs that have them not only comfortable but experts in these technologies, so that when they're living their culture in the Permian Basin and they see a problem, they go, I got something for that. I got a stick for you.
Right.
There we go.
This episode of BAM BizTalk is brought to you by Flash Mobile. Whether you're managing your business, chasing your dreams, or just handling life on the go, Flash Mobile gives you nationwide for GLTE coverage. No contracts and total freedom, all at a price that makes sense. Activate your plan in minutes. Bring your own device. Stay in control wherever life takes you. Contact us and make the switch today. And now let's get back to today's show.
And I just absolutely love it. I've learned so much, and I've been able to add inspiration and aspiration from my family history and where I see that we're going.
Yes.
And Midland, the Permian Basin, Odessa. One of the things that I didn't quite expect is that some of the people didn't know that the very first LEO lab radar system for tracking space junk was put up here. And due to the vision of the Midland Economic Development, let's see, what is it called? Corporation.
The Midland Development Corporation,
Yeah.
yes, sir.
Pam Welsh was leading it at the time. And the goal was to improve the education in Midland by adding another industry to it, in addition to oil and gas, that would not be on the same cycle as oil and gas. They got the license, they got a LEO lab, they put the building up that AST Space Mobile is now in, which is building satellites for direct communication between your cell phone and the whole rest of the world. And they're the only ones doing it. And Abel Alvion is quite a genius. And, it will be fascinating to watch the relationship between him and Elon Musk and SpaceX. And, maybe that's a weak way of saying it, but, they are very complementary and at the same time competitive. And it'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, that's when the fun happens, huh?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to meeting Abel. I'm looking forward to applying something that we did in Colorado, and it's one of the few things in Colorado that continues to work is the STEM High Charter School. But what we can do, and it will be just highly well suited to what the vision and the energy of Midland and Permian Basin is, to engage with engineers, managers, the people that are in the industry doing things, to work with STEAM and STEM programs and projects, help the kids organize them like a startup, an entrepreneurial venture.
Yes.
And think about, hey, what is the objective of this project? What value does it add, either to our own enjoyment or to the progress, or even in a future startup?
Yes.
And I've heard junior high kids in an organization set up to build robots or build an electronic device or any kind of a STEM project you can imagine, present like MBA students without the jargon of it, but say, this is my task, this is what we did to support this venture and this competition, and they won. And they are looking forward to working with Midland people and showing them the quirks that they've learned along the way of making this come together. And for the sponsors of these kinds of things, it also becomes a trade show.
Yes.
And I didn't expect that. I hadn't thought of it, so I was able to learn something about it. That, come, see our, like this, our tech and esports exhibition. And you will find out what your kids are doing with their imagination and their energy and their achievements.
That produce something.
To organize for a purpose rather than to play with a toy. And also, there's a wonderful story that comes from there. And it's happening here in Midland, and we have all of the pieces for it. And that is a fellow there whose job wouldn't be called shop. He refused to call it shop. It was the engineering that he was teaching to the junior high and down kids. And one of the boys, their task was to build a boat, a little boat that could be run with the propulsion. You could build it to how you wanted, whatever propulsion system, from rubber bands to CO2 bottle to springs, whatever, and run it down this gutter filled with water and see how it worked.
Yeah.
And this one boy, most of them used styrofoam and a hot wire because you can do some really good design and shapes with those, both attractive and efficient. And he made this boat, and then he went to Mike and he said, well, can I paint it? And Mike said, of course you can paint it. And so he went to the rack of paints on the wall, and the color that he really liked was a can of Krylon. So he painted his boat, and it turned into a misshapen, partially dissolved mess.
I was going to say, what's the
And
paint
he
gonna
was
do?
certain that he just flunked the course.
Yeah.
Because conventional education would say, okay, here's parts, here are instructions, and this is the way to put it together. And if you put it together according to all the directions, you would get a good grade. Well, he had built something that was a mess, and he knew he'd flunked.
Right.
So he went to Mike and said, well, what do I do? This is it.
Yeah.
And Mike said, have you tried it in the gutter? How does it work? He said, I don't know. Well, let's do it. And they did, and it didn't work very well. It was still a disaster.
Yeah.
The young man was worried, probably more than he had been.
Yeah.
And Mike said, well, what are you going to do to fix it? What are you going,
Yeah.
what do you want to do about it? Can I do anything about it? He said, well, you can make another boat, or you can plank this one, or you can reshape it and plank it, or fill it in with putty and use another paint. He gave him a whole list. And is there anything that you thought of? Well, no. Well, why don't you do one of these things then?
Yeah.
And he did. And he put together a boat that was, I don't know, B- or a C+ or something like that. It wasn't perfect, but it was very functional.
He learned.
Yeah. And Mike said, well, that first one was your prototype.
Yeah.
And it stuck.
Yeah.
That word stuck. So it was within a week or two after that, he got a writing assignment of 5 pages to write up something, which scared the teacher to death with what he turned in, because there was no way that it was above an F.
Oh, wow.
So she went through and she annotated the paper, kind of held her breath, and finally asked him to come visit her in the office after school hours to talk with him. And she went through, started out, and was showing him why this was bad or this was wrong, and you can do it better. And instead of becoming angry or depressed or backing away, he followed right along with her, and he got it. He went home, he rewrote the paper, took her advice, and he came back with I think it was a B- grade on that.
There you go. Yeah.
And she congratulated him and thanked him. And he said, well, that first one was my prototype. In other words, in this one simple bit of real STEM education, he got a lifetime of experience on how to look at problems. And it's exactly the same way that Elon Musk solves problems, because he finds something in his school that he set up that is now at Snailbrook outside of Austin, and it's called now the University of Austin.
Okay, yes, I've heard of that.
Yeah. That's the way they do it. The kids select a subject of interest. They will find a problem in that to work on and solve. And instead of having a shop where they are told that these tools do these kinds of things and this is
Right.
how you handle them and you use them,
Yeah.
which becomes kind of a boring exercise for kids particularly, work backward from a problem. And if there's a good way to solve that problem and the no tool exists, they're encouraged to design and build, imagine a tool that would
Yeah.
fix the problem and speed up the solution to it
Yeah.
and or do it better.
Yes. I love that.
And that pulls the human mind of children and their energy into it. And that is what I have been seeing around this exposition here today, this tech expo and esports thing.
Yeah.
The people that are attracted and the kids that are attracted are problem solvers.
Yes.
They like to find something that's a challenge, and it is write down the history and the legacy and the heritage of the Permian Basin, of Odessa and Midland, and it's a reason that I want to live here.
Yeah.
I'm 82. I've got quite a few years left in me, and
Yeah.
I can be productive here, and I'm looking forward
Well,
to that.
Midland, the area is looking forward to having you here. You know, it's you know what you just brought up there. This is something that pulls at curiosity. We've been trained to push. It's all push,
Yes.
but it's a pull, and that's
Let's pull it.
yes, absolutely. You know, it's a pull into something new. It's fresh. You know, it's the unknown, right? And humans, I think, we are done by the unknown.
Absolutely. That's
You know?
frontiers.
Yeah.
There's frontiers where there's uncertainty, risk, sometimes danger, but great opportunity.
Great opportunity.
And
Absolutely.
that is what America has been about.
Absolutely.
I think my dad never wrote it down, but my dad, Malcolm, who invented hydraulic brakes, Dad, who started on their fifth together, started Lockheed Aircraft. The previous two had been economic flops, but it was largely because of the times that were bad. There's a lot of stories there that we don't need to go into.
Yeah.
But 4 people came together to start a aircraft company at the time when aircraft were going from exploration of the experience of flight into applying flight to solve problems and do things that people had never done before,
Yeah.
and many people that could not even imagine doing. That's here today, that same kind of spirit. The very first Leo Labs was here to monitor space traffic and keep track of space junk that
Oh, wow.
would knock
Yeah.
you out of the very first 1,000-kilometer sailplane flight was done from Midland or from Odessa with an aircraft named the Sisu that was produced here, designed here, and by a Finnish guy. And Sisu means resolute, unbounded exercise of freedom, and it lived up to it. It was a milestone aircraft of its time, and I think they ultimately got 1,000 miles in a day
Oh, wow.
with that aircraft. But they did get the very first 1,000-kilometer, 647-mile flight from here because of the perfect weather conditions that are here for it.
Yeah.
And one of the finest sailplanes that's ever been built or designed right here.
Oh, wow.
The Windecker Eagle aircraft is the very first civil aviation certified aircraft, all composite. And there is a Windecker Street at the airport in honor of Mr. Windecker, who figured it out and got the certification and built a number of the airplanes, which are very beautiful airplanes. And now we have a spaceport here, and we have a going forward operation for direct cell phone connection by way of space to anywhere in the world, and vice versa.
Yeah.
And it's an atmosphere that I love. It just They're the kind of people that my father hung around with and then worked with
Yeah.
and created what became the Lockheed aircraft and Lockheed Martin today by building the world's finest airplanes
Yeah.
that if you wanted to set records and move the goals forward, you had a Lockheed.
Yeah.
Jack Northrop came up with the idea of saying it takes a Lockheed to beat a...
Yeah, very true there, huh?
It happened. It happened.
It's amazing. The vast majority of people wouldn't know that history, right? For one, and because we're so saturated in the oil and gas industry that with the perception is that's all that's right. But our history is actually much different from
Yes, hugely.
that. Yeah. So a spaceport here, it makes perfect sense. Not just with our history. That's another aspect that people aren't putting together, but it's our infrastructure. It's like I said, the weather, right? That's the reason they came down here to do that
And you have
647-yard
a
fight.
wonderful museum.
Oh
The
yeah.
Permian
Beautiful.
Basin Petroleum Museum.
Yeah.
People would say, oh, well, they're oil and gas people. This is going to be all about oil and gas. It's
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
It's about people. It's about innovation. It's about exploration.
Yeah.
And it goes back to the geology of the Permian Sea that created these fuel beds
Yeah.
for us that are a big sustaining factor in the economy and the prosperity and the liberty of the United States. They have a mock-up with the lights set so it looks exactly like the light you would get in the ocean as all of these sea plants and animals were growing here. And they also honor the Midland Indians that were the very first settlers here at a time that is so far past that it conflicts a little bit with the idea that the Indians came across the Bering Sea when it was not a complete sea between Asia and the Americas. But not only that, the Clovis points and the Midland points, the flint arrowheads and spearheads, are works of art.
Yes. Yeah.
They looked very fragile and maybe ceremonial things until they found them stuck in ancient bison bones
Yeah.
that the Indians hunted. And that civilization, that culture is honored at the museum and told about, as well as the people that created the oil and gas industry here. And this is a place that you can drill 2 miles down and 3 or more miles out, and then turn around and come back to get the next part of that formation and have 5 or 6 wells off of a single
Yeah.
down drill well, the main well.
Yeah.
Innovation, imagination, solving problems
Yeah.
for the good of all mankind.
Yes.
This is a bit.
It's
And
happy.
it is Texas.
Yeah.
And Texas believes in prosperity and liberty. And one of there's several lessons learned that Dad never had to put into writing or teach. He lived it. But America is founded on frontiers of opportunity and uncertainty, but exploration and finding out how to take advantage of opportunity for the prosperity of all, plus liberty. And a recent lesson I've been able to learn is that liberty is not freedom. They're two different words, actually. And the best explanation, the best definition that I've ever found is that liberty is the responsible use of freedom. It makes all the difference
Okay.
in the world.
Yeah.
And mobility, mental mobility, educational mobility, social mobility, financial ability, to the limit of your ability and beyond that, if you have the imagination and the ability to take it there. That is the 3 pillars that uphold the American idea and the achievements that were made by our founding fathers, by the people that gave us aviation,
Yeah.
that gave us automobiles, that expanded and extended our human potential. And now it's being expanded and extended beyond the earth to the moon, where helium-3, which is the very best fusion fuel. I'm probably getting the numbers wrong, but imagine a bucket full of helium-3, which is actually a gas, that can operate an entire city for 15 years
Wow.
from that little amount of helium-3. And with the fusion technology, if anything goes wrong in the process, it shuts down. Now, we've got a way to do that with fission now, which is a fascinating subject that is not perfectly related to this interview. But we continue to have ideas
Yeah.
and things that actually work and are practical. And those are the things that we should pursue. And that's
Absolutely.
part of your heritage and the heritage that I want to adopt
Yes.
by being here.
Absolutely. You know, I think it does connect, because that's what we're doing here, right? With these kids. Well, call them kids, right? But they're college age.
Yes.
But that's what we're doing, right? We're giving them supporting opportunity to go out and figure those things out.
Their imagination
Yes.
at the same time to figure out this ad.
Mm.
What
Right.
at the same time, which is the entrepreneurial sense too.
Absolutely.
And it will carry us to the stars
Yeah.
ultimately.
Literally. Yeah. Like what problems have we kicking down the road for decades? You know?
There have been many decades
Many.
of kicking the wrinkle in the carpet forward, and it just gets higher and higher and higher. Let's tackle
Yes.
and go on.
Right. Yeah. That. Yeah. Absolutely. And then I think we're giving them is here
Yes.
now. You know, so many of the systems are crumbling. They're not what we thought they were
Yes.
in a lot of different ways. And I think that's a perfect breeding ground, you know, for young minds to come in and solve these problems that we've had, you know. And they're literally sitting here they're standing on the giants, right?
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
let's use that. You know?
And it only takes 10 or 20% of the population to follow Solzhenitsyn's comments that the way out comes down to 4 words: live not by lies.
If not by lies.
He survived the Soviet Union gulag in Siberia
Wow.
that was intended to kill the people that were sent there.
Yeah.
He saw people that survived even better than he did and even thrived with the right mental attitude, and he
Yeah.
documented it. And he survived 2 bouts in the cancer ward. He died in his 90s
Wow.
when he went back to Russia after the walls came down.
Yeah.
And when he left this manuscript about these are the things to watch out for in America, that you can be defeated.
Yeah.
Do not allow it.
You're right.
And he went back to his beloved Russia for the rest of his life.
Ah.
And I've not been able to, the Gulag Archipelago and the other books are very, very long.
Yeah.
And I found another book, The Psychology of Totalitarianism.
Okay.
It was a book I've been waiting for all of my life, and when I was ready for it, it turned up. And it describes how those 10 or 20% of people, like our founding fathers, were able to lead
Yeah.
our way into liberty, freedom, and prosperity.
Yeah.
It's our task to continue doing that.
Yeah.
Texas gets it better than any other state I know of. There are at least 3 or 4 other states that are pretty darn good at it. Ohio comes to mind, Tennessee,
Tennessee is going to say.
a large part of Idaho, Florida. Fill in some blanks
Yeah.
there that are liberty-minded and responsible about it. Texas fits me the best.
Yeah, I think so.
And I hope that fit Texas.
Yeah, I think you do. I got to for sure. Absolutely. And you know, and the cool, really exciting part about this as well. Another exciting part is it's just really getting going.
Yes.
You know, it's exciting again.
Yeah, and here we are a few days after actually now it's $2 trillion IPO of SpaceX and its allied companies. And all of a sudden we're realizing this is just the start.
Yeah.
Hallelujah.
Yeah. Hell
Amen.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
divine providence
Ah.
exists.
Yes. Absolutely. And what they say, it's actually biblical, right? And two or more, right?
Yes.
So when you get in a group, 10, 20%, right, are behind it, that does move attraction. Yeah.
Seek and ye shall find.
Yes.
Knock and it shall be opened unto you. And I am the way, the truth, and the life. But he also said, greater things than these shall ye do.
Yes, sir.
That's the challenge.
That's the challenge. Yeah.
That's the challenge that we are tasked with living up to. We're part of the mind of God, an expression of that. And it's sad how often we live down below that,
Yeah.
but never forget that our task is always to go upward.
Yes. Upward and onward.
Upward, onward. Yes. In Dad's generation, we went. This time we're going out.
There we go.
Yes.
So it stacks on itself, right?
Yes.
It does. It truly does. And just so for the audience here,
Yes.
I'm with Mr. Allan Lockheed, and your father started Lock, correct?
My father was born in 1889, a Civil War veterans. He was building some airplanes going into World War I when the four founders came together, and they stayed together until the 1930s. There were 4 aviation ventures that they started, or aviation related. 2 of them, for various reasons, flopped. But 4, an even number of people, which was always kind of risky in a startup,
For sure.
came together with the sole goal of making the most practical, efficient, best airplane in the world. And they took everything that had been learned in World War I, ideas of their own, and the brand new radial aircraft engines rather than rotary. Rotary engines, the crankshaft bolts to the airplane and the engine spins around it in order to cool the cylinders and make a great big gyroscope out in front of you. They were quite a brilliant engine for the time, but when you bolted the engine to the aircraft and cooled it adequately and oiled the valve train properly, you had an airplane that Charles Lindbergh could fly across the ocean, the Ryan airplane. And Lindbergh and his wife mapped the air routes in the very first Lockheed Sirius, which was the low-wing version of the Vega, and built from a great many of the same parts as the high wing. And they determined where ports should be. And this is part of the story too. They converted it to a seaplane by putting floats on it. And at that time, a port was a seaport. There were no airports. There were no airplanes.
Right.
And they scouted the whole world for PAA and other airlines, identifying ports that were needed as fuel dumps or that had significant populations and opportunities. And Charles and Merle Lindbergh also had some political opposition from some of the worldwide places that they chose because political powers of that nation or that region thought that, our city should be a airport, should have seaplane service. And they said, no, the opportunities because of the land, sea, rivers, and so on of this other location are much greater for prosperity, particularly with airplanes. And it's interesting today to look at the port to port, and I use that phrase, than point to point, vehicles that are proposed for hypersonic flight. The Lindberghs made a seaplane out of the Sirius, and later the Boeing Clippers, the Sikorskys, and so on for PAA. Take a perfectly good boat in one hand and a perfectly good airplane in another, and you kind of squash them together, and you get a seaplane.
Right.
But you have a seaplane that's a luxury travel device with beautiful beds at night, and services of the top class that fly at 185 miles an hour and land on the water and take off from water at seaports.
Yeah.
And pretty soon there's enough traffic, and the value of the time to go from one port to another of sea compared to air, or even rail compared to air.
Right.
People say, well, can we build an airport? Let's have an airport for our city. Put out down the airport in Macadam and so on, and you build an airport. Then you have wheels, and the speed of the aircraft instantly becomes quicker. Then you add retractable gears and the fully developed radial engines of up to 2,000 to almost 4,000 horsepower each. And you have aircraft that are going 385 miles per hour. You add 200 miles per hour to what the seaplanes did, and the time to go anywhere. At that time, we became one world.
Right.
We could not avoid it. And all of the problems that it brings and all of the cultural things that we deal with. And one of the things that I love about space is that there is no other tribe or people out there to take things from. War in space should be inconceivable, and I think we can make it that way. I've talked to a number of Space Force Association people who see things the same, and that's why they call themselves the Guardians,
Right.
rather than warriors or defense or whatever. That we need to guard the space lanes for the freedom of development of the cislunar economy, get to the moon, mine helium-3 there. All of these things are opening up, and I think we have the wisdom to avoid trying to take from somebody else, as opposed to collaborating and build a civilization, a brand new civilization beyond the Earth.
Yes. There's no other choice. Right.
You're right. There is no other choice.
Right.
We could blow it.
Yeah.
Kind of like Elon.
Yeah.
He could build 4 rockets. The third one had failed. And the last of the single-engine ones worked. And at that point, he had left to continue to make rockets.
And then now they're going up at an insane rate. I was just saying this earlier at work. One of my screensaver pictures is of Elon. He's squatting down. He's like this, and he's just looking at the wreckage from explosion number 3. And I mean, it's an explosion, it's chaos, little pieces everywhere. But he's looking at it, and you can tell he's just rolling it through like, how am I gonna put this back together?
Yeah.
And just the fact that he did speaks volumes for humanity, and and how we can and we will get out there and go to Mars and interplanetary, that's in our future. I truly believe that. Elon, I believe, on the shoulders of your dad and all those that came before him, are going to help support these kids that are trying to do the same thing. And I think it's a beautiful thing when you're connecting the the dots, all the way. You can see.
Well, the very first Lockheed Vega that was begun in 1926 and late 1926, and it came out the doors from an assembly line that Tony Stottleman, a refugee from the Austro-Hungarian Empire, who was very, very good at assembly lines and just in kinds of things, had the assembly line chugging away as soon as they got financing. But that very first Vega, after Lindbergh flew the Atlantic, the Dole race was established to go from Sacramento to the Hawaiian Islands. And it was probably a little bit too early for that. It was a much longer distance. And he wanted to buy Orion or a couple other airplanes, and weren't available. They were all going into the Dole race, and Hearst was a little behind.
Oh, wow.
And this Lockheed thing was still being built.
Yeah.
And everybody told him it was going to be a pretty goddamn good airplane.
Yeah.
And he paid for it, bought it before it was complete. And they modified that number 1 with inflatable tanks, with food and much more fuel than they knew they'd need. Everything to make it safe that they possibly could imagine and anybody else could went into that aircraft. And as it was flying around on some test flights, and I think that was Los Angeles rather than Oakland, where the race started. Sir Hubert Wilkins, the British guy who had attempted to fly over the North Arctic Pole with 3 different kinds of airplanes, the best of their kind, and sometimes he bought 2 or 3 of them and had never made it. And he saw that plane flying in the air out of his hotel room. He said, that plane will do it. And it just, everything about it looked right from all that he discovered in failures. And the Dole race plane was lost. We're pretty certain that it got there earlier than anticipated, overflew the islands when they were completely under a fog bank all the way. Dad thought that it probably landed in the ocean beyond the islands. Other people, and I think that they have a better idea, think that the plane circled back and it was still dark in the morning, flew into the side of Mauna Kea. And by the time anybody thought of looking there, there'd already been a volcanic, it was years later. And anything that was in there had been turned to ashes and toast below a layer of lava. But it was completely lost. And thanks to Sir Hubert Wilkins, who bought, I think it was the 7th off of the line, and took it in his very first flight. They left from Canada, overflew the North Pole, landed in Spitsbergen, right on schedule, all the way taking observations of seeing the North Pole and the Arctic ice cap like it had never been seen or described before. And then he bought a second airplane and they explored the Antarctic with it. That saved Lockheed. Kind of like Elon's last rocket.
There you go. Wow. Okay, that's a cool story.
I'm blessed.
Yes, sir.
If I had a choice before I was born, I'd took this one.
You took the right route.
There's no money in it, and my dad had lots of great ideas. The last plane that he built still is a modern aircraft, the thing called the Alcor we call it the low-wing Alcor, or the Alcor C6-1, and the way that the engines were arranged and the streamlining on it, and its ability to be pressurized as a 1937 aircraft, wood and all. The molded plywood fuselage was capable of standing not a hell of a lot of pressurization like we might use today, but enough to fly 15, 20 miles an hour faster than anything lower.
Wow.
And some people took it off for a test flight they weren't authorized to do, and blew up an aileron that they were going to fix when Dad got back, and declared the aircraft inoperable and bailed out from a door in the back of the cabin behind the passenger seats because there was no door in the actual cockpit. The airplane made 3 flat circles over Oakland and Oakland Bay before it lost enough altitude to land on the Oakland Bay water and skipped like a stone. And when it ran out of airspeed, went nose first in and shattered. And my memory, and it's been disputed, that both stories say that the airspeed indicator needle had jammed, bent on the peg 360 degrees around the airspeed indicator on the power dive that they did, and stuck there. And the controversy is whether it was a 300 mile per hour airspeed indicator or a 400 miles per hour airspeed indicator. I think the difference might be that it was calibrated in less than a 360 degree circle, like most speedometers are. And it went right past that and came to rest on the peg on the other side of zero. And it flew by itself rather well.
Oh man, but yeah, I bet you have all kinds of stories.
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
I could go for a long time, but
Yeah.
we're talking about Midland. We're talking about the future
Yeah.
and what the past has to tell us about how to face the future.
Yeah.
And Dad would have loved it here.
Mm.
And for that matter, Wiley Post was an Oklahoman, and I think Texas might forgive him for that. I hope so.
Yeah, we like to tease, but
Yes, you do.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, it's all love.
Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's a friendly competition.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can invite more of that, and I think that's what we're doing here.
Yes.
Right, with the competition they're having over the course of this week.
Yes.
Teams from across the planet, every country,
Yes.
pretty much every populated continent, teams of college kids are coming to show what they got.
And at the end of it, we got a darn good team here, and you beat us. Golly, you're good.
You're good. Yeah, exactly.
And we learned this from you, and that's Jim Hall did. Jim Hall and Bruce McLaren were
okay.
friends in the pit.
Yeah.
And, there's a quote from Bruce over here in our wonderful museum that has all of the Chaparral cars in running condition. And Jim Hall, whom I will see again on the 20th here at the party on the patio. And McLaren said, every time I talk to Jim about an idea or a question, something that might work, he'd tell me what he thought of it. And sometimes he'd say, we tried that and here's how it works. Or we tried it and we know how it doesn't work.
Yes.
And McLaren built on that, and Jim Hall built on what McLaren told him. And Jim Hall took the science of engineering, design, and execution of road cars, not drag race cars that only go in one direction or circle racers, but cars that brake, stop, go incredibly fast, out-corner anything else on the track using aerodynamics. Took it in 3 years what it would have taken the industry to 10 years to achieve. And the competition between himself and McLaren, which still builds excellent cars that are mid-engine like the Chaparrals and like Porsche had pioneered, are still in business.
Yeah.
And the new Corvette is a lot more Chaparral than anybody cares to acknowledge. And I think there was some discussion about whether it was going to be a Stingray, which it is, or whether it would be the Corvette Chaparral. And I think I'm going to buy a set of stickers while I'm over there.
Yeah.
And every time that I see a C8 mid-engine Corvette that nobody's watching, put a Chaparral sticker on the rear of it. It can be so much fun.
Yeah, there you go. You got to keep and that's another thing, right? It's fun.
Yeah.
This is fun. These kids are having fun. You can see it in their face. They're coming in because they're doing what they love.
They're learning something.
Yeah.
They're learning something for a purpose.
Yeah. And if they can keep that, right? I think that's a huge part. If they can keep the fun that they're having here, and when they graduate and they go off and get jobs or they start their own companies or, that they're having fun while they're doing it.
Absolutely. And it is fun when something works.
Yeah.
And it's fun to learn from something that doesn't work. Geez, we did all of these kinds of things, and it did this and it did that.
Yeah.
But here's what we learned is, that this other thing over here we didn't do right, or something that everybody said should work or would work.
Yeah.
Didn't work the way we expected. So the next time we do it, we'll do it this other way. That's a life habit
Yes.
that you get into.
Yes.
And my father bequeathed it to me, and the state of Texas pretty much bequeaths it to all Texans.
So that's why you fit here.
Amen.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, got the Texas Alliance up there in Dallas that, figured out how to build a workable airport, transport of all kinds, schools, technical education, everything.
Yeah.
And, everybody said, why are you going to do that? Well, it works.
It works.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why do something that works? And that's something that's one of the other things. It's education.
Yes.
Why? Well, because it works like this. So much, talking earlier about the push, pushing. It's been done like this, so that's what we're telling you to do, because that's how it's been done.
And that's where our Constitution is.
Yeah.
How
Yes.
do people work? How do they do their best in competition and collaboration?
Yeah.
And knowing that people will compete.
Yeah.
They want to be the best.
Yes.
They want to, me and my family and my culture, we're just super. And, you have it in your Friday night football here.
Yes.
Competition.
Yeah.
And pride in it, and that competition between Odessa and Midland is a big tradition.
Yeah.
And look what Odessa has done with aviation, with the sailplanes, and the part they had in the Windecker, and it goes on like that. You've got the two different cultures, and they're much better for their competition and their collaboration.
Absolutely. I definitely see it as to have that. What would imagine one city sitting out here all on its own, with no.
It wouldn't be the same. You'd
wouldn't.
have to have the football to keep things going.
Yeah.
And have that. Well, we can do it better. A little step up on each side all the time.
Right. Absolutely. Exactly. And it's, again, just like Texas and Oklahoma. At the end of the day, there's love there. We are the same.
Amen.
And we're building. It's
building the future.
Yes, together.
Einstein was very good about that. When people came to him and they said, "Well, why are you so interested in the future? You're an old man and you've accomplished so much in your life." He said, "I intend to live there. There are other answers. I don't know of anyone better."
Yeah. He was always really good. Just put it on the nose there. Yeah. It makes sense. In an unusual way, right? Yeah. This has been a great conversation, Allan. I appreciate you coming out here.
Well, I appreciate it too, and it's wonderful to be here. As I say, every time I come, it just feels more and more and more like home.
There you go. Well,
Yeah, it is. I got two homes right now, one in Colorado, and my heart's here.
There you go. Colorado's not a bad place either. It's full out there.
It was great when I moved there in 1980, and it's not the same today.
Yeah.
And Texas has gotten better.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I would agree with
Always,
that.
40 years been in Colorado. 40 years has passed in Texas.
Yeah.
40 years, Texas gets better. It's another 40 years, it'll be better too.
Absolutely. I truly believe that. Well, Mr. Lockheed, what would you have to say as a parting words to our listeners here?
Continue to be proud being Texans. Continue to work for liberty, mobility, engage new frontiers wherever you find them, and find them an opportunity, and go for it. You're done.
Get her
like
done.
You've always done.
All right. Well, I appreciate you.
I appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Anytime.
Angel,
we got to do this again.
you're a good guy.
Likewise. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
The BAM BizTalk podcast is brought to you by Power Funding Limited, the leader in cash flow solutions for growing businesses. If your business is waiting 30, 60, even 90 days to get paid, but your expenses can't wait, Power Funding Ltd. has the solution. They specialize in invoice factoring, helping you turn unpaid invoices into immediate working capital. That means same-day funding, no startup fees, and access to up to 98% of your invoice value so you can keep your operations moving without delay. From trucking and oilfield services to staffing and manufacturing, Power Funding supports businesses across industries with fast, flexible funding designed for real growth. And the best part, it's not alone. It's your money, just faster. Stop letting slow payments control your business. Take control of your cash flow today. Visit powerfundingltd.com or call 432-235-3167 to get started. Power Funding Limited, giving you the power to grow.
All right, here we are at Permian Proving Grounds. I am here with Mr. Aaron Sheltron.
That's correct.
Love the name, man.
Like Megatron.
Just like Megatron. Let's go. They recently redid the He-Man. you know,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
That was
Yeah.
pretty cool, right? And they've been doing the Transformers, right? But they need to redo them like epic like.
Okay.
I don't think they've done it yet.
It's gonna be hard to beat. You got a lot of good actors that are in there.
There are a lot of good actors.
but
yeah.
like at some point in time, everything is remade, right?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Love it, man. So you're joining us here from Kansas, Junction City, Kansas.
Yes, sir. I am part of Copeland Cares. So Copeland Cares, we are a STEM program. So that covers like esports, AI and computers to rocketry or aerospace, drone flying, race simulations. Our goal is to technically get into the schools and create a pathway for children so that they can develop their skills before they even get out of high school. So let's say they in middle school, right? They hit middle school, 12 years old, and they get into a STEM program. Well, they can get hands-on experience and they can see what it is that they like and maybe they don't like it, and they can have that freedom to explore, to create, to change their opinions about what it is that they see or that they want to do, and then come out of that with confidence into the workforce. So the other thing is that we would like to do, is also be able to help the economically disadvantaged. Like that's another voice that
Let's go.
that needs to be heard. And there's a lot of barriers when it comes into cost, whether it's, let's say, sports, right? I think it's the average, sports per family, like per child is like $10,000 right now per kid, right?
Yeah.
That's a huge barrier. Now, if we can eliminate that barrier, how many more students could we put out there in the workforce that might miss out that chance, right? That could be a future leader or be a future innovator or be an engineer or be somebody that discovers something that revolutionizes the next thing that we're going to do.
Yes.
And so that's our goal, is to give them this opportunity on all sectors of whether you're rich or whether you're poor. And that this opportunity is there for you. You can be in it for a while before you get there, develop, and then come out with confidence, and not just go into the workforce, but also lead in the workforce.
Absolutely. I love that. So it's developing early, right? Getting them to them before, they get too old, right? While they're still in the pipeline, they're still in the system.
Exactly.
Right.
There's a lot of programs out there. There's a lot of great programs, and we're not here to take over anything. We're here to help and to build upon.
Right.
But there's a lot of programs that you go out there and you're like, okay, we got a program for middle school, but then when I get to high school, there's nothing for it to follow, right? We
right.
want to build that pipeline so it continuously goes on, and then it hits the workforce, or I can say confidently at 18, I know what I want to do to go into my career.
Right.
Where, okay, I'm going to take out those loans, or my parents are going to help me, go to college, and
Yeah.
I can know that I'm investing right into my future.
Right.
It's going to be great. It's going to take a little bit of time to get set up, but at the end of the day, it's like we're here to help them. We're here to help them discover, and if we do that, like we're gonna the possibilities are endless.
So when we were talking earlier, you gave me a number that here in Midland, the number of disadvantaged kids here in Midland, right? It's significant.
It is. It's
right?
around 19,000, I believe, and then there's like 16,000 out of that 19 that are at risk. Like it's huge.
It's huge. So if you can just touch 5% of those, right? You're talking some big numbers.
Yeah, 5 to 10%. I mean, that's 15 to 3,000 people that we could influence into the workforce and have them ready. And the numbers that I've seen in Kansas from the program that I've helped start up there with esports, it would blow that out of the water. We could see everybody touched, but at the same point, that's a high amount, and if we could translate that here, I mean, it would put Midland on the map, and people are going to look and they're going to see, well, why is this going on? And then they're going to want to replicate it throughout the United States, and then we become the leaders and the innovators that we know that what we once used to be.
Yes. And and something that I've learned here over the last couple of years is I had no idea that esports. I knew it was big. I knew it was a big thing. I knew there was a lot of money to be made in it, right, for a certain few, right? But now it's actually in the Olympics.
About the Olympics, I know it just got canned, so it's going to come back.
Okay.
But the thing is, the people who, from my understanding, which is very little, the people who picked the games to go in were like they own those companies, so it was a little bit of a bias in there
For sure.
but and so I think it got paused, and it will be back. Esports, if people don't understand, is a $200 billion industry. And yeah, we think of esports and we think, okay, competitive players, right, coaches, but there is such a huge ecosystem underneath there that supports them. When you get into social media, you get into game design, game development. You're talking about general managers. You're talking about, again, the social media is a huge part. There's so many jobs in esports that I think people don't realize and understand. And just making that known that, hey, you can go this route. If you love esports, you might not be the best competitor out there. You can go and you still can support that system, and you can be plugged into it and be plugged into a team or a company that, you really like support those values.
Yeah, what I'm hearing is that for the kids, right, it helps fill in the gaps. So when a kid goes and they're going through high school and they're like, well, they're sitting in class all day, they really don't care about sports, right? Or if they did, it's saturated, and okay, I'm on the C team, but I like playing, right? There's this, well, what do I do? Where am I going, right? They tell me to go to college. What am I going to college for, right? What am I going to go study, right? What's the thing? But if you can get them interested in something that they're already naturally gravitate to, and it's on the cutting edge, right? It's getting them to think outside of what their box is, and then we're in the age of AI, right? I mean, the future is completely unknown, and it's exciting, and it's it's right there, right? The future is now, right?
It is now.
And getting these kids excited about these things, technology, innovation, going out there and discovering something new, right? Because I think for the longest time we were like, oh, well, everything's been discovered, right? We went to the moon, right? We did this, we did that. There's this. I know for sure. There's this fact in physics. There's this huge gap of anything being like discovered, right? Because all the physicists were like, whoa, everything's been discovered, so we're just going to talk about what's been discovered over and over, and what's the theory on it. But I think now we're going to see a lot of breakthroughs.
Exactly. I believe if we can touch the kids when they are like coming into their preteens and get them involved, get them the hands-on, I think you're going to see fresh ideas, because these are some of the first generations. I mean, our generation, we got a cell phone when we were like 18, 19, something like that, and we're the last of that generation. And our generation is, the average gamer right now is 36 years old. So we're getting to places of, let's say, like power and influence, where like we look well on gaming. We see how it has done good things.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stigma when it comes to gaming. Well, you're playing in their basement, or they're just eating Doritos, or why are they screaming at the screen the whole time?
Right.
There is some of that.
For sure.
That's, but if you put that into a constructive area, professional violinist plays 400 beats a minute, right? And everybody's like, oh, okay, that's awesome. Lindsey Sterling, I wish I could be somebody like that, or playing an orchestra, or, they see those outlets, right? Where a person who is playing competitively in esports is making 650 intelligent decisions within a minute, and that game changes every 2 weeks, and they have to relearn how to win with that team.
Oh, wow.
There's a lot that goes in there.
Yeah.
And that's why I believe this year we're hitting like over $50 million in scholarships that are going to be given out for esports. And it's the only sport that doesn't traditionally follow the middle school to high school to collegiate, and then you go pro. It's still being developed as we talk here. Still a little bit of the wild, wild west out there.
Yes.
But as we bring in this program, like Copeland Care, if we do it right, is going to be the first program from middle school to collegiate, and then have those pathways for esports and for many of the other things that we talked about, whether it's drone racing or aerospace or AI, and it's advancing so fast. Like, I just went to this convention the other day, and they were talking about how the jobs are changing so fast. There's not even descriptions for the technology jobs that are out there.
I love it.
Isn't that crazy?
I love
so
that.
how would you know, like, computer? I'm going to get computer science. Well, computer science is outdated, right?
Yeah.
Or I'm going to take coding, but guess what? AI just within 6 years has destroyed what the coding degree would have been.
Yeah.
So we have to keep up with that and keep those kids pointed in the right direction as
Right.
things change so fast.
That's a great point. That's a great point I hadn't thought about before, right? So this whole everything's getting turned over. Everything's getting turned over, right? You're like, hey, I'm gonna go be a programmer because my uncle said that if you be a programmer, you're gonna have a job for the rest of your life. Oh, yeah. Wow. You know, I mean, so let's rewind that. It is good to know programming, right? To know the logic of it, you know, still, but you can talk to a computer now. And
It's crazy.
yeah, it's crazy.
It's
what's
crazy.
coming.
And they're saying it's doubling every 6 months or something like that, which is wild.
Yeah.
It's just wild to think. Like, what that, like, if you doubled and then you doubled and you've been doubling for the last 10 years and then you double again in 6 months,
Yeah.
that's a huge jump.
It's huge.
It's literally like they said, like, oh my gosh, like, it's just like we're on a rocket ship going up.
Absolutely. And you can tell because of recently with Claude, Anthropic, right? They released their latest and then they were shut down. The government shut them down, right? Like, and I was using it, right? Because it was, you're able to use it, you know, to a certain time. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing, right? And all of a sudden, next day it's shut down. I'm like, what's going on? But to your point, right? Things are we're on an upward trajectory, right? It's exponential at this point. And like for the government to come in and say, no, that's got to shut that down. That's too much.
Yeah.
That's kind of mind blowing.
It's crazy. It's crazy where AI is going. Like, we have to keep up on AI. If you don't keep up on the AI, then the things that where it goes, then you're gonna be lost. You're just gonna be lost. Like, I was listening to this one story, and this guy he made a AI agent, and this agent ended up going through all these sources and building stuff. And it's just crazy, the story, just to get a phone number to call him to remind him to do something. I'm just like, that is wild. It's not quite consciousness yet, but it's still interesting with the things that you can do. And these kids with young minds, fresh.
Wow. Yeah.
What are they gonna have? What are they gonna think of? And what are they gonna solve? That we're still stuck in the 80s playing the Nintendo, right?
I'm still the champ on Tecmo Bowl, man.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and that's where my gaming career ended.
Okay.
Right, Bo Jackson running around all over, scoring all over everybody. Right.
All right.
But yeah, I'm excited. I'm glad it's here in Midland. That Texas is again here, like trying to put it together, right? Bring it together. And here in Midland, where you know it is a resource center for the nation, right? That to bring things like this for the people in Midland to rally around. Right. And I think that's what we're missing here. Right. The rally around, you know, it's like, because like you were saying earlier, oh, well, some kid in a dark room eating, you know, chips and yelling, you know, at somebody across the world. Right. Think about that. Somebody across the world that they're playing with, you know.
There was this movie, I don't know if you ever watched it. It was called The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind.
No.
You haven't seen that?
No.
So over in Africa, this kid, he ended up, like they had like this water shortage, and he ended up taking like an alternator and like finding out like how to like wire it and then to a wind generator and then pump water, which saved his father's farm.
Wow.
But it's like really interesting.
No.
The thing is like those kids, they think outside the box. They take the resources that are around them, and that kid didn't have anything.
Yeah.
He had nothing. Like in Africa, I'm sure that's a poverty rate in like stricken area, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't have that data that'd be like, hey, like, you know, I'm 100% prove it, but that's what the movie portrayed. Same thing like that. Imagine if, you know, we put 3,000 people into the workforce and we solve, let's say, 3 of the top 10 problems that we have. What is that going to do for everybody?
Wow. Yeah. Instead of kicking the can down the road.
Exactly.
Which has been done.
Yeah, what did the mayor say? Like the Midland of today is going to prepare for the Midland of tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
So that's the thing that we're doing. We're prepared the children now. That goes into the workforce. If we touched or if we influenced or helped all the kids right now, that would be like 30,000 kids that would come through and that would have, you know, some kind of influence on the workforce.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
That's a lot, man.
And there's a need for it.
Yeah.
And not everybody's gonna be at, like, you know, the top of the class and whatnot, but the thing is give them that opportunity to explore and let them take that passion, because you're gonna find that percent in there that's gonna make that difference.
Right.
But you have to be able to give them that opportunity, and that's to cut the barriers out.
Yeah. And the support.
Exactly.
Right. And put it-
If I had support, I wouldn't have had a long track of my life to get to where I am today. like I was 17 and wanted to build a video game, knowing like what Justin TV was before it was turned into Twitch, right? I wanted to stream. I wanted to build a video game. Like there was nobody to support me in that, right? If you have that supportive group that's around you, the ones who understand that are help teaching these courses, that are encouraging you to explore or take that next step. Well, if you thought about, let's see what happens if you do it, right? Give them that freedom and that creativity to do the things that they can imagine. What's going to happen?
Right.
How much faster are we going to fast track?
Yeah, it's happening. It's happening, right? It's all here, right? All the components are in front of us, right? It's up to us. What do we do with this, right? What do we do? How do we set up the future? And I think you guys that's the plan, right? And I think from what I can see, I see it coming together. See people collaborating, different entities coming together to collaborate in that same goal. Right, that's what we're all trying to do here. Whether it's the esports gaming, it all comes down to self-sufficiency, right? With the community at large, right? But entrepreneurship, right? Why go to school or why train to get a job when you're creating your own? Within this larger kind of context here, right? Where we're all working together to make that happen. So I really think it's gonna go towards that. That's my kind of vision with what this is bringing. It's gonna bring out all kinds of entrepreneurs, all kinds of small business owners that didn't even have in their head, oh, I want to be a business owner. It's just going to happen.
I know one thing I didn't touch on was like the media side, right? So let's say we get these kids into media, they understand social media. Imagine the summer jobs that they could go in, they could help fill with these companies to do their social media campaigns for them in the summertime to get that experience. That would be a great route for these kids just to get the hands-on experience besides just going through the STEM program to integrate it into, the workforce. But like we're touching everything. It might seem like, okay, yeah, you guys are doing a lot. It's pretty ambitious. But the thing is if we look, the ones who are ambitious are the ones who are winning. They're the ones who are developing because other people are saying, well, that's too hard. We're not going to do it. Or we're going to just solve one piece of it.
Yeah.
Thing is we're going to make that whole pipeline. We're going to help all these children get into where they're confident, coming out strong, and we will see that influence.
Absolutely.
And then those ones will be able to help the other ones underneath. They'll start stacking and compounding.
Yes, that's where it becomes powerful, right?
Exactly.
Absolutely. Well, Aaron, I always end with, do you have any parting words that you would like to leave our audience with?
Make every day a day you win. And so when you wake up, even if you give your 80% and it's still 100, give that 80%. It's every day is a challenge. There's something new that pops up that we don't know, but continue to stay the course. Continue to, look into the future, see what's there, and, don't get shaken.
There you go. I love it. Aaron, I appreciate you coming on the pod.
Thank you.
The BAM BizTalk podcast is brought to you by our sponsor, Pachuco's Restaurant. Craving authentic and eclectic cuisine in Midland? Well, Pachuco's has you covered. Located in downtown Midland at the ever so legendary and iconic historic building at 316 North Big Spring Street, Pachuco's blends rich and unique flavors in a conveniently pleasant and vibrant atmosphere. Enjoy the highest quality barbecue, savory tacos, burgers, and a variety of other mouth-watering dishes that reflect the spirit of a true Pachuco cuisine. Real, authentic, and just plain different. Check out their menu at www.pachucos432.com or call 432-218-8806 to inquire, or better yet, just show up and get your shine on. At Pachucos, where heritage, exquisite taste, and hospitality come together for an unforgettable dining experience. Pachucos, Midland, Texas. Now back to the show.
All right, here we go. I'm with Edgar and Alyssa with UTBB Falcon Aeronautics and Space Team. How you guys doing today?
I'm doing good.
We're doing good.
Yeah, all right. Well, thanks for being on the podcast.
No problem.
For sure. So we're here at the Permian Proving Grounds conference, right here in Midland. And so you guys are part of this. So tell me about Falcon Aeronautics and Space Team. What is that?
So we are a kind of a club at UTBB. Really our goal is to bring aerospace engineering experience to other students and across campus and in the Midland Permian Basin area. We just started out last summer, so we're about hitting on 1 year as a club. And right now we focus a lot on rocketry, is what we're really focusing on this year, and kind of get starting with competition and really trying to bring that engineering STEM-based education and that hands-on experience that a lot of students like me and Alyssa really do need, and to really work in like such a big industry that aerospace, that kind of thing where you're like, oh, it's just on TV, but we're bringing it a lot closer for everyone here.
Yes, I like it. And so are you the president of the club?
I'm the vice president of the
VP.
club.
All right. And
I'm the lead marketer.
oh, marketing. Nice. You got to have marketing, right?
So I run all of our social media and I throw all of our outreach events, all of our fundraising events.
Okay. So how many events y'all guys do?
We've had a few this past year. Our first big event, we had a trunk or treat over at Lumos Honda in Odessa. And then we've had a couple bake sales throughout the year. Comic-Con was kind enough to let us set up a table at both of their Comic-Con events, and we were able to fundraise a lot there and do a bunch of outreach there.
Super cool. And then a lot of the funds, what are they used for?
So a lot of the funds were used for our rocket. I think, what was the budget for our rocket initially?
But our budget initially was about $5,000.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
5,000.
Okay. Is that the one that went 9,600?
Yes. So, yeah, I think you had the pleasure of seeing it in person. I know a lot of people on the podcast won't be able to see it, but...
We'll take a picture of it.
Oh,
and put it
yeah,
on.
for sure. It might look a little small, but everything, all the money we had saved up either went to help us construct it, or it went to setting up more events in the community.
Okay. What's your major?
I'm
Mechanical engineering. And so you said this is a program that's been going on for 2 years?
For
1 year so far. Okay. And you've already put a rocket together and launched it?
Yes.
Nice. Okay. And so what's your future goal?
Well, I think very much in future is go bigger, you know? Today was the first day of our rocket competition. That's the International Rocketry Engineering Competition hosted here in Midland. And that first day, you see, we were making a lot of fun jokes because ours actually is the smallest rocket that we probably got to see there. So one of our big goals is just go bigger.
Yeah.
Go into what a lot of other colleges that, they have established teams so far, like A&M, like University of UTEP, University of El Paso. All of these have big programs. And we're a little behind, but we kind of have that industry backing here in Midland. And so we want to get bigger, and we also want to expand to different projects.
Yeah. What would a different project be?
So for, being here in the Proving Ground kind of conference, drones are a big thing we're kind of looking towards.
Yeah.
So I'm actually their intern. So, there's a lot of drone companies that will definitely want to help, our team expand into, say, a project like, hey, can you help us design this using things, or can you prove this design for us? Different things like that we want to expand to. And we've had different opportunities, like we assisted on airlock for Space Nation. So we're growing slowly but steadily, and we just want to get our students more hands-on.
Yeah, for sure. So how many students are involved in the organization right now? Yeah.
Right now, I think we're looking at around 20.
Okay.
And I think Alyssa with orientations has gotten a lot more. How much do you think?
We've been going to the freshman orientations at UTPB, so we've been trying to recruit a lot of new people for the club.
Yeah. And it's like, does the club have all different majors?
Yeah, no, we welcome all majors. Right now we're specifically looking for a lot of biology majors.
Biology.
We want to put a biological payload on our rocket for next year's IREC.
Oh, okay. That's cool. So, okay, give me an example.
I think the winning team last year, University of Houston, their payload, they put sea urchin sperm on their payload. And I guess they tested how the effects of a rocket launch and landing would affect the fertility and the life of it.
Yeah.
But they got first place.
Yeah. I mean, that's
something. I think, earlier today, didn't someone see earthworms in a rocket?
I'm not sure. I heard someone talking about mold. Something about, I want to say UV light and mold.
Yeah.
Okay. Things get pretty interesting, right? Especially when you start thinking, okay, how is something that's biological like that, how would it be in zero gravity?
Yeah.
Right? So when you do get it up that far.
I've actually kind of worked with an experiment like that. I had the pleasure of joining the Higher Orbits Go for Launch program when I was in high school. I was my sophomore or junior year in high school. It's a 2-day program that they have at the high schools here. I think it's for like 6th graders through 12th graders. But it's a 2-day program, and at the end of the program, you present a project that you came up with that is like an experiment that should be conducted in zero gravity. And all the teams present, and then the judges pick a winner at the end, and then that winner goes on to the next round where they compete with all the different winners. And my team actually won, so they flew our experiment to space, to the International
What?
Space Station.
What? Oh, that is so cool. Yeah. What's your major?
I'm mechanical engineering also.
Okay. You're just good at social media.
Yeah.
No, that's amazing to have that experience in high
Yeah.
school, right? And then you're bringing it to the college level and contributing to the team like that. Like that's so mechanical engineering. Do you guys are y'all actually building the rocket, like hands, like wiring and everything?
Yes, so really, we're lucky enough to have like this rocketry experience where I took, it was near, I think, mid-October. I kind of drafted up our first designs in software called Open Rocket. And I went in, selected materials, built it around with my team and what we thought we needed. And right now we're doing mostly commercial, but you know, all those fiberglass tubes I cut, all the soldering, electronics, that was all done by my partner Robert. Everything relating to our current payload, that was done by James. And we kind of just went in using 3D printing, you know, epoxying things together, sanding, and really just hands-on. That's, I think, one thing that a lot of people lack a lot in schools, and especially in the college level, is that hands-on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Same thing, what this podcast is usually it's a business podcast, right? The best way to learn business is hands-on, right? It's getting your hands dirty and getting into it and just going through it, right? Going through the process, you know? But so I wanted to show everybody this. Y'all printed this, right?
Yeah.
You know, this is pretty cool, right? And how long does it take to do something like this?
Oh, those, I think it might have been close to, I think from design, it didn't take long to design it. Printing, I think we were able to get like 50 on a plate, and it took maybe a day for 50 of those, costing less than $20.
Right.
And we sold them, I think those for $3 a piece. So
Right.
we made a lot of profit off those keychains. Those were a big, I think, $300 to $400 we made.
Probably, maybe even more.
See,
Yeah.
that's awesome, right?
Yeah.
And so reason I brought that up to do that is, you know, because you talked about your 3D printing parts that go into your rocket, right?
Yes.
So just that part, right? Like that allows someone, you know, a small university like here in West Texas, to be able to produce, you know, parts for rockets that you would, how else are you going to get the part?
Yeah.
Right? Like y'all are building it, you know, how else would you do it if it weren't for, you know, that technology, you know? So how much do you use artificial intelligence?
AI it's a bit of a contentious thing for us right now. AI, I think, is we've used it for okay, can you organize, say, this set of things? Can you help build this checklist or something?
Yeah.
It's not a thing that we want to use it to cut kind of like those corners that are cutting, but you know, it's always trying to find that balance of,
Right.
are you cutting too much of what you need and you're losing kind of your productivity? So we try to keep AI usage to the minimal, but try to maximize it for efficiency.
Right. That's smart. That's where it should be used, right? Because if you depend on it to do all the heavy,
Heavy lifting is not.
yeah. No, that's good. That's cool. Tell us about what you're talking about, the competition, engineering competition.
So IREC is the International Rocketry Engineering Competition. It hosts currently 178 teams from not just the United States, but from across the world. So to put into perspective, Texas has the most amount of teams at 16. So we have teams from every state in the United States, plus teams from, say, Japan, India, Turkey, United Kingdom, Scotland, Mexico, Brazil. So we get to compete on kind of a global stage with a whole bunch of universities from across the world. And it is, well, they kind of toot their own horn a little bit when they say it, but they say it's the Olympics of rocketry.
And that's pretty true, right?
Yes,
Right?
I would say so. Yes.
Yeah, I think I saw the post the other day. It's from 20 different countries in 6 continents.
Oh wow, pretty much everywhere. Right?
Yeah.
I'm only missing Antarctica there.
Yeah.
I think so.
Oh man, it'd be wild if somebody came from Antarctica. Right?
Oh, yeah.
All the hidden underground bunkers. No, but so I think that's pretty cool. So what have you done? How did you, right? Like, I know build the rocket, but like, how else would you prepare for something like this?
Preparation is really, it's like describe preparation really. It's a lot of like anxiety and I would say like scrambling. It's
Yeah.
like you're going out for a trip, you know, you're like, do I have everything? Is this all like, do I have everything? Is everything good? Did I pack in, did I forget anything? So it's kind of that like scramble, but also part of it is just like, we're finally here, you know, it's been like almost a year working on this rocket. We're about to launch. We're just so close, you
Yeah.
know? So it's that little like sigh of relief of it's about done. We're about to
Almost
do it.
there,
Yeah,
right.
we're almost there.
I think what would kill me, and maybe I just don't know enough about the process, right? But you just said it. You've been working on this rocket for a year, right? Obviously, do you before, or do you just get one launch with it?
Well, we did a test launch.
Okay.
Some people decide not to do that.
Right.
You know, there's always like that risk with rocketry is you do a test launch, does you mess up on your test launch, you gotta do it again.
Yeah.
You know, so a lot of people are just win and go, like hope and pray it goes.
Yeah.
We decided to do a test launch. I'm pretty confident we're not gonna blow up or anything. I think we're gonna be fine. But you know, a lot of teams do deal with that failure, and like for us, you know, with how you know we're doing on kind of a shoestring budget, failure is not an option for us. So we have to kind of ensure everything goes well.
Yeah.
But no, I've seen bad launches. You know,
Yeah.
just kind of going to different rocketry events. I've seen horrible ones. I think University of Minnesota had a very bad one just I think 3 months ago.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Well, you know, like the main guy in your space, right? Elon Musk, right? Hit story of how SpaceX, right? I mean, that was it. That was the last one, last go, right? And they said, let's scrap it together, make it happen, and that's the one that worked, right? After how many failures? I think 3 or 4, like that.
Around there.
And yeah, they had so many bad launches, right? Blow ups. And I have this picture on my desktop, right? It's one of my screensavers that goes, and it's wreckage, right? Just a lot of wreckage. But Elon, he's just squatting down, and he's just looking at the wreckage, just you know. And it's a picture actually of taken right after his last eruption, the explosion, right before the one that worked, right? It's like if there was ever a time to say, okay, well, I mean, I'm done, right? I'm broke, nothing worked, you know, like, but just the fact that he went on with it, right? I think it speaks volumes into, you know, what like innovation and technology and like, the world we're stepping into, right? Like, and you guys are a part of that, right? So what made you interested in rockets and being mechanical engineering?
I've always been interested in space exploration ever since I was a little kid. First it was astronomy and then astrophysics, and then I realized I hated physics. So that's when it got more engineering related
Yeah.
because I don't like physics at all. But yeah, I've always been interested in space exploration as a kid. That's why I did that program in high school. And yeah, it's just always been my thing. And I decided mechanical since unfortunately UTPB doesn't have an actual aerospace program just yet.
Yeah, just yet.
Just yet.
Right? Coming? You
Yeah.
think it's coming? I think so too. How about you? What got you interested in this?
Well, at first, you know, I didn't really know what I was doing as a kid. I was kind of just going to things, but I loved, you know, that science and math. So kind of in the junior high level and early high school, I went into robotics. So that kind of brought me into just engineering. And honestly, I didn't really think about like aerospace engineering. You know, for me, I always was like one of the people like aerospace is so cool, but where is it? You know,
Right.
I go in here and I'm like, oh, it's a spaceport by name, guys. And there's no space here.
Right.
And then, you know, so going into college, I kind of started working with our FSAE club that is here as well. And there, I really didn't, I was like, okay, cars, I kind of like cars, but I'll probably do oil and gas or something. And then, you know, Raquel, our president, came up with like this aerospace club. And I'm like, wait a minute. So I go and I join, and I kind of get like this new passion for aerospace, because now like I have that, my eyes are now open. You know, I get to see aerospace everywhere now, and I see it as just like, okay, I can do this now. You know, and like that's one of my motivators, kind of sharing that with everyone.
Yeah.
Like, let me help you open your eyes up to like all the aerospace, like how I got my eyes opened up to, you know.
Love it. Well, cool. Well, thank you guys. So usually when I wrap up a podcast, I always ask, so what parting words would you have for your audience out here?
I would just say follow your dreams. You know, I used to think because I was born in Midland and that I live here that I might never be able to get into the aerospace industry. But it's slowly starting to grow in Midland, and I can now see that, you know, it's possible to get into that industry. Especially after this past year, I've been able to participate in lots of things. I just interned at Space Nation last semester.
Nice.
I love to spread my passion for space. I was just recently an instructor in NASA's New Worlds Await You program. So I was an instructor to middle school students. They learned about the lunar surface and how to build a habitat there. So yeah, just spread your passion and follow your dreams.
Awesome.
And I think my parting words to everyone is kind of be just a little bit over your head, you know?
Yeah.
Like, our rocket's named the Icarus 1, you know? Because sometimes we really do feel like we're flying too close to the sun, but honestly, being close to the sun is better than being on the ground. So always kind of shoot high for yourself, and don't ever, you know, cut yourself short. Always try new things, and because you never know when you're gonna win. You never know when you're gonna, you know, be successful.
Yeah. So go for it.
Yeah.
I love that advice. Cool. Hey, well, thank you guys for being on the podcast.
Thank
I
you.
enjoyed it. Yeah. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.